Geographic pictures of the Philippines. Geography of the Philippines. Content: Asia. Region: Southeast Asia. Coordinates: 13 degrees Celsius N and 22 degrees Celsius E. Area: rank 72 second. Total: 300,000 km per hour and 120,000 square mile. Land: 99.38%, water 0.62%, coastline 36,289 km and 22,549 miles, borders none. Highest point Mount Apo 2,954 meters, 9,692 feet. Lowest point, Galatea depth, 10,540 meters, 34,580 feet, sea level. Longest river, Cagayan River. Longest lake, Laguna de Bay. Exclusive economic zone, 2,263,816 km per hour, 874,064 square mile. Philippines is an archipelago that comprises 7,641 islands with a total land area of 300,000 square kilometers, 115,831 square miles. It is the world's 5th largest island country. The 11th largest island contains 95% of the total land area. The largest of these islands is Luzon at about 105,000 square kilometers, 40,541 square miles. The next largest island is Mindanao at about 95,000 square kilometers, 36,680 square miles. The archipelago is around 800 kilometers to 500 miles from the Asian mainland and is located between Taiwan and Borneo. The archipelago is divided into 3 island groups. Number 1, Luzon. Number 2, Visayas. And number 3, Mindanao. The Luzon Islands include Luzon itself, Palawan, Mindoro, Marinduque, Masbate, Romblon, Catanduanes, Batanes, and Pulilo. The Visayas is the group of islands in the central Philippines, the largest of which are Panay, Negros, Cebu, Bohol, Leyte, Samar, Siquijor, Biliran, and Guimaras. The Mindanao Islands include Mindanao itself, Dinagat, Siargao, Camiguin, Samal, plus the Sulu Archipelago composed primarily of Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. Territorial limits of the Philippines. The Philippines lies in Southeast Asia and number some 7,641 islands. The Philippines occupies an area that stretches for 1,850 kilometers and 1,150 miles from about the 5th to the 20th parallels north latitude. The total land area is 300,000 square kilometers, 115,831 square miles, with cadastral survey data suggesting it may be larger. This makes it the 5th largest island country in the world. Only approximately 1,000 of its islands are populated, and fewer than one-half of these are larger than 2.5 square kilometers and 1 square mile. 11 islands make up 95% of the Philippines landmass and 2 of this Luzon and Mindanao. Measure 105,000 square kilometers, 40,541 square miles, and 95,000 square kilometers, 36,680 square miles, respectively. They, together with the cluster of islands in Visayas in between them, represent the three principal regions of the archipelago that are identified by the three stars of the Philippine flag. The Philippines is broken up in many islands by the sea. This gives it the fifth longest coastline of 36,289 kilometers and 22,549 miles in the world. The exclusive economic zone of the Philippines covers 2,263,816 km per hour and 874,064 square miles. 200 nautical miles, 370 km from its shores is located between 116 degrees and 40 and 122 degrees and 34 E longitude and 4 degrees 40 and 21 degrees 10 and latitude, and is bordered by the Philippine Sea to the east, the South China Sea to the west, and the Celebes Sea to the south. The island of Borneo is located a few hundred kilometers southwest, and Taiwan is located directly to the north. The Moluccas and Sulawesi are located to the southwest, and Palau is located to the east of the island. The coast of eastern Mindanao is the Philippines, which descends to a depth of 10,430 meters, 304,220 feet. The Philippines, a part of Western Pacific Arc system characterized by active volcanoes. Among the most notable peaks are Mount Mayon, near Legazpi City, Taal volcano south of Manila, and Mount Apo in Mindanao. All of the Philippines islands are prone to earthquakes. The northern Luzon highlands or Caldera Central raise to between 2,500 meters to 8,200 feet and 2,750 meters and 9,020 feet, and together with the Sierra Madre in the northeastern portion of Luzon and the mountains of Mindanao, boast rainforests that provide refuge for numerous upland river groups. The rainforests also offer prime habitat for more than 500 species of birds, including the Philippine eagle or monkey-eating eagle, some 1,100 species of orchids, and some 8,500 species of flowering plants. The longest river is the Cagayan River, is northern Luzon, measuring about 520 kilometers, 320 miles, Manila Bay, upon the shore of which the capital city of Manila lies, is connected to Laguna de Bay, the largest lake in the Philippines, by the Pasig River, Subic Bay, the Davao Gulf, and the Moro Gulf are other important bays. The San Juanico Strait separates the island of Samar and Leyte, but it is traversed by the San Juanico Bridge, the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River, which runs 8.2 kilometers, 5.1 miles underground through a karst landscape before reaching the ocean. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The extensive river system are the Pulangi River, which flow into the Mindanao River, Rio Grande de Mindanao, the Agusan in Mindanao, which flows north into the Mindanao Sea, and the Pampanga, which flows south from East Central Luzon into Manila Bay. Several rivers have been harnessed from hydroelectric power. Protecting the country's biology resources, the government has taken a first step of preparing a biodiversity action plan to address conservation of threatened species. Most of the islands used to be covered by tropical rainforests. However, illegal logging has reduced forest cover to less than 10% of the total land area. Geology. The archipelago is geologically part of the Philippine Mobile Belt located between the Philippine Sea Plate, the South China Sea basin of the Eurasian Plate, and the Sonda Plate. The Philippine Trench, also called the Mindanao Trench, is a submarine trench, 1,320 kilometers, 820 miles, and length found directly east of the Philippine Mobile Belt, and is the result of the collision of tectonic plates. The Philippine Sea Plate is subducting under the Philippine Mobile Belt at the rate of about 16 centimeters, 6.3 per year. The Philippine fault system consists of a series of seismic faults that produce several earthquakes per year, most of which are not felt. The Galatea Depth in the Philippine Trench is the deepest point in the country and the third deepest in the world. The trench is located in the Philippine Sea. Islands are composed of volcanic, coral, principal rock formations. 8 major types of forests are distributed. Number 1, Dipterocarp, beech forest. Number 3, pine forest. Number 4, mulab forest. Number 5, lower mountain forest. Number 6, upper mountain or mossy forest. Number 7, mangroves. And number 8, Austrabasic forest. The highest mountain is Mount Apo. It measures up to 2,954 meters and 9,692 feet above sea level and is located on the island of Mindanao. The second highest point can be found on Luzon at Mount Pula, a peak 2,842 meters, 9,324 feet above sea level, situated on the western fringes of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Philippines experiences frequent seismic and volcanic activity. The Bitham Plateau to the east in the Philippine Sea in an undersea region active. In tectonic subduction, around 20 earthquakes are registered daily. Most are too weak to be felt. The last major earthquake was the 1990 Luzon earthquake. There are many active volcanoes such as the Mayon volcano, Mount Pinatubo, and Taal volcano. The eruption of Mount Pinatubo is June 1991 produced the second largest terrestrial eruption of the 20th century. The Philippines is the world's second biggest geothermal energy producer behind the United States, with 18% of the country's electricity needs being met by geothermal power. The Mount Pinatubo is notorious for its destructive BEY-6 eruption on June 15, 1991. Taal volcano, on one of the decade volcanoes, had BE-133.7 eruption on January 12, 2020. Mount Mayon is renowned for having an almost perfect cold, but has a violent history of 47 eruptions since 1616 and its BEY-4 eruption on June 23, 1897 rained fine for 7 days. Mineral deposits exist as a result of the country's complex geologic structure and high level of the seismic activity. These deposits are considered highly valuable. The country is thought to have the second largest gold deposit after South Africa, along with a large amount of copper deposit. Palladium, original discovered in South America, was found. Have the world's largest deposit in the Philippines too. Romblon Island is the source of high-quality marble. Other minerals include chromite, nickel, and zinc. Despite this, a lack of law enforcement, poor management, opposition due to the presence of indigenous communities, and past instances of environment damages and disasters have resulted of these mineral resources remaining largely untapped. Topography, Luzon satellite image. The La Paz San Donis in Luab, part of the Ilocos coastline, Pasil Valley, and Kalinga of the Caldera Central. The Sierra Madre Mountain viewed from Gabaldon, the plains of central Luzon showing the Manila Bay with Mount Arayat in the background. The Zambales Mountain as viewed from San Narciso, Laguna de Bay at Cordano with the Banahaw volcano complex in the distance, Mayon volcano overlooking the city of Legazpi. The Batanes and Babuyan Islands. Batanes and Babuyan Islands are situated on the northernmost extremity of the Philippines at Luzon Strait facing Taiwan. It contains the northernmost point of land, the islet of Waimea in the Batanes Islands, separated from Taiwan by the Bashi Channel, see it 3,472 kilometers and 50.000 miles wide. Western Luzon, this region stretches from Mayraera Point and Pagudpud, Ilocos Norte in the north to Costinos Point and Maribeles, Bataan in the south. The terrain ranges from coastal plain to Rods Mountain, bordered by the South China Sea, and the west in the Caldera, Central and Zambales mountain range in the east. Western Luzon is known for its beaches, surf spots, and historic towns. Cagayan Ball between the Cordilleras in the east and the Sierra Madre mountain range in the west in the Cagayan Valley, also the name of the administrative region which is covers through its center runs. Visayas group of islands, Western Visayas, Negros Island, Green, Central Visayas, Light Blue, and Eastern Visayas, Pink. Mindanao, Eastern Pacific Caldera, the eastern coast of Mindanao features a long mountain range, the Eastern Pacific Caldera, which stretches from Baylor Point at Surigao in the north to Cape San Agustin at Davao in the south, forming its northern portion, and the Diwata Mountains, also spelled Diwata, separate from the south by the low passes situated at the middle to the east of the ruins are narrow strips of lowland that feature several inlets and bays, the most prominent of which include the Lianga and Bislig Bays. Central Mindanao Highlands, situated west of the Davao Agusan, through is a complex series of mountain ranges called the Central Mindanao Highlands, also known as the Central Caldera. From these mountains from the headwaters of several rivers which include the Rio Grande de Mindanao, Pulangi, Maridugao, and Tagaluan rivers. Several tall mountains such as Mount Apo, the country's highest, are found within the range. Bukidnon, Lanao Plateaus, The north-central portion of Mindanao is dominated by extensive highland region. The Bukidnon-Llano Plateau, which includes the Kitanglad and Kalatungan mountain range. Within the plateau lies the country's second largest lake, Lake Lanao, situated at an elevation of 2,296 feet, drained by the Agus River flowing northward to its river mouth at Iligan Bay. Cotabato Basin, south of the Bukidnon-Llano Plateau, lies a large depression. The Cotabato Basin will form the lower river basin of the country's second largest river system, the Rio Grande de Cagayan, also known as the Mindanao River. Surrounded by the three mountain ranges, the basin only opening to the sea in the northwest at Ilana Bay, where the Mindanao River empties into the ocean. To the southwest of the main basin are two larger valleys, the Coronadal and Ala valleys. Outlying islands of Mindanao, Dinagat and Siargao Islands. To the north of the Diwata Mountains of Northeast Mindanao lies Siargao Islands and the Dinagat group of islands. Climate of the Philippines. Philippines map Köppen climate classification. The Philippines has a tropical maritime climate that is usually hot and humid. There are three seasons, tag-init or tag-araw. The hot dry season or summer from March to May, tag-ulan, the rainy season from June to November, and taglamig, the cool dry season from December to February. The southwest monsoon from May to October is known as the habagat, and the dry winds of the northeast monsoon from November to April, the amihan. Temperatures usually range from 21 Celsius, 70 Celsius Fahrenheit to 32 Celsius, 90 Fahrenheit, although it can get colder or other depending on the season. The coldest month is January, the warmest is May. Some locations have no dry season, meaning all moments have an average rainfall of above 60 mm, and certain higher altitude areas can have a subtropical climate. Manila, average rainfall of above Manila, and most of the lowland area are not and district from March to May. Even of this time, however, temperature rarely rise above 37 Celsius, 98.6 Fahrenheit. Mean annual sea level temperatures rarely fall below 27 Celsius, 80.6 Fahrenheit. Annual rainfall measures as much as 5,000 millimeters, 196.9 in the mountain East coast section of the country, but less than 1,000 millimeters, 39.4 in some of the sheltered valleys. The average yearly temperature is around 26.6 Celsius, equivalent of 79.9 Fahrenheit. In considering temperature location in terms of latitude and longitude is not significant factors. Whether is the extremely north, south, east, and west of the country, temperature at sea level tend to be to the same range. Altitude usually has more of an impact. The average annual temperature of Baguio at an elevation of 1,500 meters, 4,900 feet above sea level is 18.3 Celsius, equivalent of 64.9 Fahrenheit, making it the popular destination during hot summers. Annual rainfall measures as much as 5,000 millimeters 200 in the Mountain East Coast section, but less than 1,000 millimeters 39 in. In some of the shelter's valleys, monsoon rains, although hard and drenching, are not normally associated with high winds and waves. But the Philippines sit astride the typhoon belt, and it suffers an annual onslaught and dangerous storm from July through October. These are especially hazardous for northern and eastern Luzon and the Bicol and eastern Visayas region, but Manila gets devastated periodically as well. In the last decade, the Philippines has been hit severely by the natural disaster, and 2005 alone, Central Luzon was hit by both a drought which sharply curtailed hydroelectric power and by a typhoon that flooded practically all of low-lying Manila Street. Still more damaging was the 1990 earthquake that devastated a wide area in Luzon, including Baguio and other northern areas. The city of Cebu and the nearby areas were struck by a typhoon that killed more than 100 people, sank vessels, destroyed part of the sugar crop, and cut off water and electricity for several days. The Philippines is prone to about 6 to 9 storms which make landfall each year on average. The 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption also damaged much of central Luzon, the Lahar-Barian towns and farmland, and the ashes affecting global temperatures. Sitting across the typhoon belt, the islands experience 15 to 20 typhoons annually from July to October, with around 19 typhoons entering the Philippines area of responsibility in a typical year and 8 or 9 making landfall. Historically, typhoons were sometimes referred to as bagyos. The wettest record typhoon to hit the Philippines dropped 2,210 millimeters, 87 in Baguio from July 14 to 18, 1911. The Philippines is highly exposed to climate change and is among the world's 10 countries that are most vulnerable to climate change risks. Building construction is undertaken with natural disaster in mind. The most rural housing has considered of nipa huts that are easily damaged but are inexpensive and easy to replace. Most urban buildings are steel and concrete structures designed not always successfully to raise both typhoons and earthquakes. Damage is still significant, however, and many people are displaced each year by typhoons, earthquakes, and other natural disasters. In 1987 alone, the Department of Social Welfare and Development had 2.4 million victims of natural disasters.